Europe was or is Esav, right? Esav, Edom. So today, Edom is America as well. But the Nazis are of Amalek. Once Edom is destroyed, along with its false Messiah, then and only then can Israel rise, and Messiah ben David can gather the exiles and build a third temple. And Edom must be destroyed, and the false Messiah must be completely exposed. And once that happens, then the real one actually comes, and then Jerusalem can be built properly.
We have whole books dedicated to the destruction of Edom at the end of days. Until that point, Esav remains, Edom remains, the church remains the implacable enemy of the nation of Israel.
God will cause that all the nations will gather in the Machama of Gog Magog, which was prophesied by Yechezkel. And the Malbim gives us some information that the Bnei Edom will come to fight with the Bnei Yishmael. Now it's not hard to see how one day there could be a battle between the West and the Muslim world, right? That's not a hard thing to imagine, right? It's basically the stage is set, right? It's only a matter of someone pressing the button.
Edom falls. They lose. The Western countries lose this war.
It's like they lost in Vietnam.
No, very much not like that. Because it's all their army, everybody, their whole sovereignty. Their sovereignty is going to be gone. They will no longer be a superpower. Vietnam didn't affect America as a superpower. Why? Because they destroyed themselves.
And when the Nekama comes down on the world, when the revenge of Hashem comes down on the world, it comes down on Babylonia, right? Destroys the first temple, comes down on Edom, all over Europe, all over America. It's all part of Edom. It will come down very, very hard when they destroy the second temple.
Hey, Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakach Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and as you can see here on the screen, you have Amalek pretending to be the people of the Lord. They are not. They are Amalekites. And the pride of their heart has truly deceived them. They really believe that they're the Lord's people, but they're the people that the Lord completely hates. And that is going to be when they finally realize that they're actually Amalek. It's going to be heartbreaking for them. It's going to be devastating, but that's what they deserve. That pride has completely blinded them to the truths of the scriptures, and they're in the scripts and reading through them, but they're placing themselves as the people, and they've clearly missed 2nd Esdras 6 and 9, showing that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it follows. They're skipping over the curses of Deuteronomy as well, because the Israelites would be under those curses, and they try to force things to look like, to suit them, basically, for them to be the people, but they are not. And this is just their tongues falling on themselves. So that's where we're going to start in Psalm 64. And verse 8. Psalm 64 and 8. Actually in 7. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And this is a great example of that, because they're throwing the rest of Idumea or Edom under the bus, that being so-called white people, Caucasians, Europeans. They're throwing them under the bus as Edom, in which they are, in fact, Edom, but those small hatters are Amalek, and they're the head tribe of Edom. They're all Edomites. They're all Edomites, and them trying to throw the rest of Idumea under the bus is really just revealing them to be Edomites as well, because it's showing their pride. It's showing that Edom is actually not done away with, because they'll say that Edom's done away with, even though Isaiah 63 exists and the Lord is coming for Edom straight away. They're just throwing themselves out there. It's showing them to actually be who they're talking about, and it truly is. They are the Edomites of the scriptures, so-called white people and so-called 1948ers or small hatters or whatever you want to call them, the Ish people. They're not the true people of the Lord. And you could see it in their ways. You could see it in how they don't meet the prophecies of the Israelites. Because when the true Israelites return to the land, it's going to be with all of the tribes, northern and southern kingdom, meeting up again, and there will be no more war. But there's clearly war, since these people have claimed the land for themselves through their Balfour Declaration. I'm going to jump to Jeremiah 49 and verse 10. And it says, "But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places." And them being able to go around the world and call themselves white was one of their secret places. Their other secrets are the vast violence that they've committed over the centuries, as well as stealing everything, and now it's stealing a culture and a heritage. They've put it onto themselves. But Jeremiah 17:4 says that the Israelites would lose their heritage, their culture and heritage. The Lord's going to take it away from them, and they have to serve their enemies in lands that they do not. But when did this happen to the Amalekites? It never happened to them. They claim to be the people and have always been the people, but that shows that they're not the people. They're the bastard that dwells in Ashdod. They are the aliens that took the houses of the Lord's people and claim to be them. They are the ones that claim themselves to be the actual people, but are not, and they're actually the synagogue of Satan. That's who they are, and these secrets are being exposed, starting with Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, down to the prophets and elders of the Great Millstone, and then down through the rest of the men within Great Millstone and the ones who teach the likewise doctrine. That's where this truth is coming from. That's where the uncovering of the Edomites is coming from. And that has been protection for the Edomites over the centuries, but it is fading away. It's all fading away, just like their kingdom is fading away, and like their control is fading away. It's all being uncovered, and that veil that's been put on top of the covering cast over the nations, that is being taken away. It's being uncovered. It says, "But I've made Esau bare," Esau being the so-called white man, as well as the small hatters. "I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself." We know that you're not white. You are red. White going into innocence, and red going into all the blood they spill. Which one do you think they suit more? They're obviously blood spillers. It says his seed is spoiled. They have low birth rates, and those small hatters will tell you that they're the smallest of the nations. And his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not, because they will eventually, their entire seed line, that seed line of Edom, is going to be taken off of this earth for good after they serve out their punishment of captivity. It's going to be they're going to be wiped away. Just like they've tried to do to the nation of Israel. It hasn't worked because the Lord has preserved us, and especially preserved his elect, but they're not going to have that same covering because the Lord actually hates them and he wants them to be cast down. This is 1 Samuel 15:2. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai of hosts, the Lord of armies. I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. They were the first ones to go after us after the Exodus, after leaving Egypt. And it says, now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. This happened in the past, but they have a greater destruction coming in the future. Jumping down to verse 32, it says, then said Samuel, because Saul didn't follow instructions, the Lord's instructions to actually go smite and destroy everything of Amalek, because it's defiled in the first place. He didn't follow those instructions, and he took the good of their cattle, and he took Agag back. And so this is Samuel once he's discovered Agag. It says, then said Samuel, bring ye hither to me Agag, the king of the Amalekites. So this was your king in the ancient times. This is who you come from, those small hatters. And they still are not seeing that. This is who they are. And Agag came unto him delicately, and Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past. Thinking because the battle was over that they weren't going to slay him. But Samuel had instructions from the Lord. And it says, and Samuel said, as thy sword hath made woman childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord in Gilgal. And just as the Edomites have put their sword, their blessing, out there to slay the Israelites relentlessly, as well as the other nations, they're eventually going to be slayed. As it says, once thou ceasest to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And that is what's coming for them. In Jeremiah, it speaks of how your mother shall be sorely confounded or ashamed of you. Speaking of Britain being the mother of America, Babylon, this is coming. America is going to be put to shame, and those Amalekites, which take a lot from America and also have a great hand within America, they're going to be put to shame and cast down. And they're going to mourn and weep and try to get out of it, but there's nothing that they can do. And all the mothers of Edom are going to wail. They're going to get it too. Because all of Edom is wicked. They were made to be the wicked. And where else do you think they would be as the wicked other than claiming to be the righteous? That is great deception. And they are deceivers. They've done their job at deceiving, but now the prophets and elders are doing their job at exposing their deceptions and their hidden secrets that they've had. This is coming out. They are the Edomites, the Idumeans of the scriptures, and they're the ones that the Lord hates. This is Numbers 24 and verse 20. And when he looked on Amalek were those men that were speaking on there, those small hatters, the 1948ers, the J-ish. This is speaking of them in the end times. It says, and when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, and this was between Balaam and Balak. And Balaam had his eyes open from the Most High, and he was able to see. And this is him prophesying what he saw unto Balak. And he said he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations. They're the first of the nations to come out after us, after the Exodus from Egypt. And they're the first of the nations currently in the end times. They are at the top of the food chain. They own the banks. They own the media and entertainment. They're at high influence. They influence this world more than any other group, even though they're one of the smallest groups or smallest nations. They are at the top. They are the first of the nations. This is why they get so upset when people bring this out. Like, oh, look at all these CEOs that are of Jewish descent, or look at all these people within our government that are Raelis and are actually citizens of this other nation. Look at all the bankers that are influencing society. They are the first of the nations. But, as it says, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. And they're going to go into captivity for that 1,000-year reign. And then after that, they're going to be Obadiah 1:18. They're going to be taken off of this earth. And there's not going to be son nor nephew or any relatives of the Edomites. There's no one within their nation will exist ever again. And it will all be as a dream. Their existence will be as a dream. Because they've destroyed the earth. Their elite have destroyed the earth. They've tried to enslave everyone. They've tried to take others' seed line off of this earth, which they almost did it with Gad. And they've touched the apple of the Lord's eye. They've put everything into confusion, mostly dealing with them trying to claim to be the people when they're not. And so they've renamed the other nations, they've renamed the lands, and they've confused the doctrine to where people can't see who they are. But it's being revealed. He shall not be able to hide himself. And those Amalekites that we just saw in that clip, they are exposing themselves. Their tongue is falling on themselves. And it's really just revealing who the wicked is, who actual Amalek is. Just like Nadaju said, he spoke of Amalek, but they are the Amalekites, and that really just put the eyes on Amalek and who Amalek truly is, because he tried to call the Ishmaelites Amalek when they're Ishmael. It's like, no, you are Amalek. You are Amalek. You are Amalek. They need to get that through their heads, but they won't until the Lord comes back, because the pride of their heart has deceived them. They're blinded with pride. And so, the Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, or Chak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone. And shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.